And so, who are you, and what do you do for this church temple?
For the temple?
He keeps
My-
it together. He does everything.
No, I don't. I'm just here. My name is Tom Clellan, and I've been here for about 10 years now. And right now, I'm what they call an umze, who leads practices, okay? And I just do it because nobody else wants to. But I think Jay's coming on here. I think he's getting in the mood. He might want to lead sometime. I hope so. But anyway, that's, I'm also the treasurer on the board.
Okay.
Okay, we have a board of directors, and so
Okay.
I don't know if Jay mentioned that he's also on the board too.
Okay. And how did you get started into this religion?
I came to Buddhism through basically it was a fear of death and understanding death, and since I was a child, I was that way, and I didn't really. And really what brought me to it was the study of reincarnation. Okay, so I began investigation of reincarnation about 15 years ago, and through primarily Dr. Ian Stevenson's book, 25 Cases Suggestive of Reincarnation, was where I realized the real possibility of reincarnation. What he did was he interviewed small children that remembered their past lives. So in his career, he passed away in the early 2000s from the University of Virginia. He interviewed hundreds of children that remember their past lives, primarily in India.
Yeah.
And his evidence, although circumstantial, was very compelling because he did approach it from a scientific perspective. He was a psychiatrist.
Okay.
And he documented, for example, all the people that surrounded the child, and so forth, and then tried to validate what they said. So in other words, if a child said that they were born in such and such a place and their mother was so-and-so, he would go to that place and try to find those people. And in the cases where he did find those people, those were the cases that he wrote up. So it's very compelling and very convincing, even though circumstantial. It's impossible to verify, completely scientifically. So he had to use circumstantial evidence. But that research continues today at the University of Virginia. So once I realized that reincarnation was a real possibility, I had studied Buddhism before, and specifically the Tibetan Book of the Dead, and that brought me back to that. I studied the Tibetan Book of the Dead, and then I became more and more interested in Tibetan Buddhism.
Okay. How has this religion affected your daily life?
It completely changed my life. I'm now pretty much, it is my life. I'm dedicated to the Dharma. I primarily get great joy from bringing other people to the Dharma, to letting people know about it. And that's probably one of the reasons I lead, is because I want to be here when, every time that there's something scheduled here, I want to be here so that I can introduce new people to the Dharma. I used to be really extremely shy, although I'm not an extrovert still. I'm a lot more outgoing than I used to be, and content. So, I mean, leading a Dharma practice would have been the last thing that I would have done before. So it's a gain of confidence and just general contentment. The meditation, of course, also, I think I heard Jay saying, is really calming and really does help you to react less negatively to situations that arise, even though they may be very negative. It helps you gain more control over your reaction. And so meditation, as Jay has said, is really super beneficial to anyone, even though they're not Buddhist. See you, Jay. Thanks a lot, man.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you. Yep. Thank you.
What do you enjoy most about this religion? It could be an idea, a specific practice. Difficult question.
I think it's pretty easy. It's the happiness that it brings and the contentment, the change of attitude, accepting the world as it is. I remember when I first came to Buddhism, one of the things, I'm an engineer, so I have a scientific background, kind of an amateur astronomer and that sort of stuff, interested in astrophysics and that sort of thing. So I just love the way the Dharma is an explanation for so many things, and how it got me to help me think outside the box of not just the limited explanation that science brings to the world, but the things that science does not explain and will never explain because it's so limited. So with the Dharma, it's unlimited. It explains everything, you know, if you really, and it's very logical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Read it. What kind of advice would you give someone that's just starting out in Buddhism?
Meditate.
Meditate.
Yeah, that's number one. Get control of your mind. Don't get lost in all of these accoutrements, and they're very distracting, can be. Tibetan Buddhism has so many methods of helping one become more acquainted with the Dharma. But it's really...
Earth Fair.
Earth Fair, okay. But it's really very simple. Meditation, when the Buddha was asked, can you kind of sum things up, you know, into what, you know, it's all about?
Yeah.
This is a king, and he wanted a direct answer, you
Yes.
know. And he said, commit not a single unwholesome action. Gather a wealth of virtue, in other words, do good things, and tame the mind. And that's it. Those three things. Easily said, very difficult to do.
Yes, very.
But in Buddhism, it has a list of non-virtuous actions, very similar to the Judeo-Christian. There are 10 non-virtuous actions, and there are 10 commandments. The number's the same. The actions are, the commandments are a little bit different, but certainly they overlap with killing, sexual misconduct, lying, stealing. All of those things are included. But included beyond those are like wrong view. That's kind of like no other God, you know, something like that. But it's very similar. So you know what the virtuous acts are, but doing them is difficult.
Perfect. Well, thank you so